thanks very much for joining us here on Fineprint on WION World is One. I'm Molly Gambhir, taking you first to Mumbai, where there are breaking developments coming in. Foot-over bridge connecting Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus has collapsed. That's the latest that we're getting to you from Mumbai. These are the visuals from just a short while back. Injured persons, as we are learning, have been shifted to the nearby hospitals. Senior officers are at the spot to assess the situation. Rescue operations are underway. The foot-over bridge collapsing in Mumbai. This is collapsed near the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station. According to the initial details that are trickling in so far, those injured have been rushed to the nearby hospital. The senior officials are at the spot to assess the situation, even as the personnel race against time to try and rescue the survivors. Rescue operations are underway as we speak. Senior officers have rushed to the spot. These are the visuals from just a short while back from the incident site, where that foot-over bridge connecting the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station has collapsed. As of now, it's too early to piece together the moments before the collapse and right after, but initial information that's trickling in so far tells us that the authorities are senior officials are at the spot, and rescue personnel are working against time, racing against time to try and rescue the survivors. Let's get in further details now from our correspondent Pragya Jha, who's joining us for more on that. Pragya, what more do we know at this point?
That's right. We know that the bridge that's connecting CST station, that is Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station, to the main building on the road, that is the main, it's a publication house, and the building connects and it goes right into the center of the station. It is located in the heart of the city, has just collapsed. Half of the bridge has collapsed, and we do understand that there are several injured. As of now, what we know is that at least 12 people have been rushed to the nearby hospital. They are injured, and there is immediate help. There are ambulances that are at the spot, and then there are police officials who are taking stock of the situation. And right now we get an update that there are 23 injured who have been shifted to St. George and GT Hospital. And in fact, we do see that a number of police officials have already come to the spot. Then there are officials also from the Central Railway, that is the particular railway zone that is responsible for the maintenance of foot-over bridges that connect several parts of the city to the station premises. And this comes under the Central Railway, and hence officials from the Central Railway are at the spot immediately. There are also people from people from the police officials nearby the nearest police station, that is the Azad Nagar police station. They're there at the spot. They're taking stock of the situation. We're yet to get a total account of how many people in fact are who were present there, and they've been taken to the nearby hospital, that is the St. George and GT hospital. That is what we know as of now.
Right, Pragya, give our viewers more sense of where this area is located, and given the time that we're talking about, peak time on a working day, we're looking at, of course, a considerable number of people who would have been present at that station, and the CST station, of course, is one of the most frequently used by the locals there.
That's right. Now, a peak hour when people are in fact returning home from a long day at work, and they're getting to their homes. And we know that in Mumbai, the kind of traffic that railway stations witness is in fact a lot, and it is unprecedented in a way, because Mumbaikars travel to and fro from home to office using metro trains, using local trains. And this was a time, and we can see even in the visuals for ourselves, we can see that the crowd was swelling and more people were around, and this is when the unfortunate incident took place. And 23 is the initial number of injured that we're getting to know, and we'll have to wait for official figures if there are more injured who were reported, who have been taken to the hospital, and then we'll find out exactly what was the cause of the bridge falling. But we should remember this is one of the most important and crucial areas in South Mumbai.
Right.
It is a time. It is also a time when people are in fact commuting from various parts, that is north-south zone of Mumbai, and this is towards the southern part, and hence we do clearly understand this is quite crowded, and this was the peak hour.
Right, and also Pragya, this we believe is a footover bridge that connects the CST terminus with the building of a media house on an arterial road in that area.
That's right. That's right. We've confirmed that's one of the most arterial road, and it is in fact the main junction that also connects to the JJ Bridge. And the JJ Bridge at this point of time connects South Mumbai to Central, and then from Central to suburban Mumbai. So we do understand that how important this is in fact located, and it is very strategically located place right now. The bridge as well as the station, and there are hundreds at this time of the night, of the evening, where people are present, and they're in fact getting home from work. So this is really an unfortunate incident that has taken place at a time where the crowds were really swelling.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment, Pragya, also allowing time for you to contact your sources and get us further details on what the authorities are at the moment saying. But as Pragya was telling us, more than 20 people believed to be injured. The number, of course, at the moment is only the initial figure that's come in since the incident took place just a short while back. This is an arterial road in Mumbai. The CST terminus at a peak hour like this would have a considerably high number of commuters. As Pragya was telling us, this is a bridge which connects the CST, the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station with the building of a media house on the BT lane, which is another arterial road as we just discussed. The CST train station, the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station, frequently used by commuters, is also at a peak hour like this. Senior officers have at the moment rushed to the spot. Those injured have been taken to the nearby hospital. More than 20 injured is what our correspondent on the ground is telling us at the moment. But the immediate priority, of course, is to rescue the survivors. Rescue operations as we speak are racing against time to try and rescue those who are believed to be trapped under the debris. To those of you who are just joining us, a foot-over bridge connecting Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station has collapsed. The injured persons are being shifted to the nearby hospitals. Senior officers are at the spot at the moment as rescue operations continue. This is an arterial road where the incident has occurred. We are awaiting further details on what the authorities are saying at the moment, but the immediate priority, of course, being to rush the survivors to the nearby hospital and as rescue operations race against time. Our correspondent Pragya has been getting us the very latest. Pragya, also tell us a little bit more about what the authorities have told you so far. All right, we'll just try and reconnect that line with Pragya. Senior officers at the spot, the priority of the rescue operation personnel, of course, being to rush the survivors to the nearby hospitals. These are the visuals that we are getting to you from just a short while back, where that foot-over bridge collapsed, which connects Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus station to the building of a media house. This is an arterial road, the BT lane, and the incident occurring at a peak hour like this on a weekday. Considerably high number of commuters present at the spot at the time of the incident. The initial figure suggesting more than 20 have been injured. We are, of course, awaiting further details on that front. Keep a close eye on the latest coming in from Mumbai, but moving on to some more breaking developments coming in. India and Pakistan today held the first round of talks on the Kartarpur corridor. Now, WION has accessed details of what transpired during those crucial negotiations. There are several points of differences between the two countries. Many sticking points remain. The main three issues are the number of pilgrims. There are issues over transportation and who gets to use this corridor. For further details, let's get in our correspondent Siddhant Sibal, who got for us this exclusive piece of information. Siddhant, what more do we know on what transpired during that meeting today?
Well, Molly, there were several areas of differences between India and Pakistan. The Indian side had proposed that the corridor should be open for all Indian citizens and all Indian origin people, and 5,000 pilgrims should be allowed each day, something that Pakistani side has clearly said a no to. The Pakistani side has said that the corridor, of course, should be open to the Indian citizens, but they can only allow 500 people per day, drastically less to what India has proposed. Other than that, of course, we all know it's visa-free, but what Pakistani side has proposed that they will be giving a permit. This permit will be given on paid basis. So you have to pay to the Pakistanis to go and visit to the Gurdwara to pay your respects. The Indian side also proposed that it should be open 7 days, while the Pakistani side has clearly said no to it, saying that it will be open only on designated days, designated visiting days, and everyone will be allowed to travel only in a group of 15. India has proposed that anyone can go in group also or individual. But the biggest thing that has come out is the fact that many of the pilgrims would like to go on the foot because that's an essential element of a pilgrimage. And Pakistani side has clearly said no to that. Also, no movement on the foot, which of course India is not agreeable to. So that we can see a lot of areas of differences, and it seems that the Pakistani side may have been publicly saying that they would do this, they would do that, but when it comes to sitting on the table and negotiating, they have now backtracked on many of the proposals that they were claiming to do publicly.
Right, and also about the visa-free access, Siddhant, are there some concerns that have been raised on that front as well today?
Well, on the visa-free access, the basic idea was it should be visa-free, and both the sides have agreed that it's a visa-free. But what is shocking is the fact that that the Pakistani side has proposed that you have to pay to visit to the Gurdwara. You cannot just go in the corridor. You have to get a permit, and these Pakistani sides will be giving the permit to the Indian citizen to travel through the corridor. And initially, they were only open to only Sikhs being allowed to go through the Gurdwara, which clearly India said no, this is not possible because this is a Gurdwara that has a lot of people who pay respect to the Gurdwara, and India being the secular country will allow all the citizens, because this was also, remember, demand of the entire Indian citizenry since 1970, not only the Sikh group, because remember in the Indian side, Sikhs, Hindus are all same, and it's part of the composite culture, unlike in Pakistani side. And ultimately Pakistan relented that they said, okay, we will allow all the Indian citizens. So clearly it shows the double standard when it comes to Pakistani side, and there seems to be some intention behind it. And of course, we know what Pakistanis have been doing when it comes to Khalistani propaganda in the Sikh shrines in their territory.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment, Siddhant. Thanks very much for those details coming in on what transpired during the first round of the talks between Indian and Pakistani sides on the Kartarpur corridor. A lot of sticking points remain, as Siddhant is telling us. And over the next few days, we do await further details on what the demands from the two sides will be. But 2nd of April is when the next round of talks is slated for. Moving on, after shielding the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief 3 times in the past, Beijing once again blocked Masood Azhar's listing at the United Nations Security Council. China placed a technical hold on the proposal that was moved by 3 permanent members of the UN Security Council to list the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief under the UN sanctions regime. The proposal against Azhar had been moved by the US, the UK and France. China is a veto-wielding permanent member of the Security Council and an ally of Pakistan. It blocked India's proposal from being adopted by the UN Sanctions Committee. The Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed was behind the Pulwama terror attack in India, in which 40 Central Reserve Police Force personnel were killed. Masood Azhar is the chief of that terror outfit. A UNSC designation would have subjected Azhar to an assets freeze, travel ban and an arms embargo. An assets freeze under the Sanctions Committee requires that all states freeze without delay the funds and other financial assets or economic resources of the designated individuals and entities. Masood Azhar at this point will not face any such action. Pakistan has been under growing international pressure to crack down on terror groups operating from its soil. The Pulwama attack led to the most serious escalation between India and Pakistan in years, with India conducting an airstrike targeting the biggest Jaish-e-Mohammed camp within Pakistan. That was followed by an aerial engagement along the line of control. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Syed Akbaruddin, tweeted on the development. China later defended its action, saying it needed more time to conduct a thorough investigation. Remember, China had first blocked the move in 2009. 10 years is not enough time, it seems. The United States issued a stern warning saying that members may be forced to pursue other action to declare Masood Azhar a global terrorist. India expressed its disappointment over China's move.
中方呢，在1267委员会对有关国家这次提出的列名申请进行了全面深入的评估，我们还需要更多的时间，因此提出了技术性搁置。这个呢，完全符合安理会1267委员会的议事规则。就中方而言，我们真诚的希望，1267委员会的有关行动能够有助于有关国家通过对话协商解决问题，避免对地区的和平稳定增添复杂因素。中方会一如既往继续本着建设性、负责任的态度，同有关各方密切的沟通协调，来妥善处理好这一问题。
Now, China's technical hold means that the proposal to designate Masood Azhar as a global terrorist will be in deep freeze for the next 6 months. If China chooses to place a second hold on the proposal, then it would be delayed for another 3 months. A third Chinese hold means that the application is blocked altogether. But here's a look at what India's options are in light of the recent events. Over the next 9 months, a UNSC member delegation can provide information to the 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee for lifting that hold. And Azhar could be listed again if that move carries through. Apart from the UNSC proceedings, there are a host of other options before India in its fight against Pakistan-based terror. We earlier spoke to former Indian diplomat G. Parthasarathi on this issue. Let's take a listen in.
You will have to persuade the Pakistan army to desist from what it is doing. It's a largely an autonomous institution. So firstly, they are fighting on 3 fronts: Iran, Afghanistan and India. I think the 3 of us need to coordinate and have a coordinated policy like we did with regard to the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan when Iran and we worked very closely together. That's a major point. Secondly, squeeze them financially. Primarily through the Financial Action Task Force. After all, let's not forget, this resolution was sponsored by 13 countries, which is unprecedented in our history, and a major diplomatic success. Fourth, the Islamic world. The Iranians are fed up. That has to be handled separately. But Saudi Arabia and the UAE have a different take on Pakistan. They give them money, but they are willing to squeeze them and also use them. That becomes, and lastly, not just President Trump, but the U.S. Congress to turn the squeeze and bring in allies like Japan, Germany, France, and the UK.
So why is China continuing to back Masood Azhar? Does China's support for Masood Azhar stem from its fear of the Jaish-e-Mohammed targeting the China-Pakistan economic corridor? Well, some experts say that might be the case. The CPEC not just passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, but also Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's Manshera district. Balakot, where India carried out the airstrikes, is in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, China has acquired huge areas of land near Balakot for the CPEC. The Karakoram highway linking Pakistan and China also passes through Manshera. Now, some experts say that China thinks there is a lot at stake for it in Pakistan for it to take a stand against a Pakistan-based terror group's chief. China has already invested heavily in CPEC, and it fears that if it backs the listing of Masood Azhar at the United Nations, then Jaish-e-Mohammed will target the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Remember, CPEC is Beijing's flagship project under the Belt and Road Initiative. There are at least 10,000 Chinese nationals working on various CPEC-related projects, and there are several power projects and ancillary structures that are being built under CPEC, and China does not want any trouble there. And to top it all, China views Pakistan as a gateway to the Islamic countries, and Beijing does not want to burn bridges with Islamabad. But whatever the reason might be behind China's support for the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, as a global powerhouse, China has failed diplomatically and morally in standing with the rest of the world in taking a stand against terror and helping India in its fight against Pakistan-based terror outfits. And though Azhar's listing was put on hold by China, the support for India at the UN Security Council was unprecedented. Of the 15 member nations, 14 were in support of India's campaign against terror. These 14 members supported India's bid to designate the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief as a global terrorist. And of the 5 permanent members, 4 were in support of India. So basically, by blocking that proposal, China ended up being the odd one out. And despite the failure to list Masood Azhar, what transpired at the UN Security Council was a huge diplomatic victory for India.